What's up, everyone? I'm Drew Martin, the host of the SBR Roundtable today. We are at you at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern every Wednesday. Feel free to chime in with any questions you have here on YouTube or on Twitter, and we'll go around the horn and introduce everybody. Donnie Rightside, you can find him at Rightside VP and his website, DonnieRightside.com. Donnie, how you doing today?
Hey, no complaints today, Drew. Great day. Weather's changing up here in the Northeast. Had a great April. Already started a really nice May. I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite hour blocks that we have set aside. Three of my favorite guys in the business. It's a lot of fun to do this show. Very knowledgeable. The best part about it, big man can add that soccer aspect. Ian gets hockey. Me and Drew tackle some baseball. But again, we all get along well. Really looking forward to the show. Let's have some fun today.
Yeah, I agree with you. Great intro there, Donnie. And going around, Ian Cameron. You can find him on Twitter at Bobano and his work at sportsmemo.com. Ian, how are you doing north of the border?
I'm doing great, Drew. The work at sportsmemo.com has been really good. So when that happens, when I'm on that kind of run, I feel better. So yeah, it's been great. Looking forward to talking sports, variety of sports. And that's what's great. Donnie said it. We wear a bunch of different hats. Jeff's got the soccer. I got the hockey. We all got baseball. We all know basketball. So every sport known to man, you can hear about it right here on the weekly Sports Betting Roundtable at SBR.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, a great follow on Twitter at Jeff Nadu, big man on campus. Big man, good Wednesday for you?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm the best follower on Twitter. I'm probably the most irritating follower on Twitter, maybe. But thank you, Drew. That's nice of you to say. Yeah, we're back. I'll triple down on what everyone said. You know, it seems like I do 60,000 shows a day, but yeah, I really enjoy this show. It's a good way to talk amongst friends and really just kind of bounce ideas off each other. And I think we have everything covered. So yeah, always fun and happy to be on today. Drew, that little 6-minute technical problem, that's not going to cut into our hour, is it?
Hey, no. We just add that on.
I want my full hour here.
We'll get right up there near an hour. And yeah, we got Canada covered, CFL, NHL, America with Donnie and Big Man, and I'm down here in Costa Rica. So getting the whole hemisphere covered here. But let's get right into it, guys. Yeah. MLB, anything new from last week? Any bet on or fade teams that have come into our minds, things we need to look at and the viewers need to take notice of?
Yeah, I'll start it off here. A team that I'm fading right now, actually I have two, and I'll get to them quickly. The Oakland Athletics. I mean, they've lost 7 of 8. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I really believe they have the worst lineup in the major leagues. The lineup is brutal. They can't win on the road. They're only hitting .214 away from Oko. Look, they can be a sneaky team at home, but they really haven't had much in their bullpen. Their bullpen just continues to get worked by the day. They're starting pitching. Andrew Triggs, that 5-game mirage, I'm not sure that's going to continue all year. But from the plate, they're brutal. They strike out a lot. They're very one-dimensional as far as how they hit the baseball. They're just not very good. The Reds, they've lost 9 of 12, kind of back to normal. They've opened the season kind of on fire, but they've reverted back to the typical Cincinnati norm. Opponent turning 273 over the last week, scoring 8 runs a game. People are starting to catch up to Amir Garrett, Rookie Davis. I mean, Bronson Arroyo is not going to pitch the way he's done over the last 2 or 3 starts. They ground him in a lot of double plays. They're just not very good, and they're reverting back to the norm in a tough division. So for me, fading right now, the Reds and Oakland have been moneymakers. I had the Twins last night. Why Irvin Santana at that price was sent out, I have no idea. I'm not sure about that Oakland team.
So you faded the Twins last night?
No, I was on the Twins. I faded Oakland.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. No arguments there. In Oakland, I mean, it's just a team that right from the get-go, even though they started off with about 500, I agree with you. They've been downhill. I'm not interested in them at all. What about you, Donnie? Anything on the surprising list?
Yeah, got a couple there. I mean, one last night, again, laid down with some fleas last night and came up with an easy victory with the Padres over the Rockies. So, I like to look at some indicators on that. But overall teams, if you're just looking at that type of structure to bet on, you've heard me say it a lot before. The Tampa Bay Rays at home, 9-4 at home. If you bet them overall throughout the season, just putting one unit on each game, home and away. They are plus right around 1 unit there, but their value truly is at home. Same thing with Milwaukee, a little bit reverse here. Milwaukee 7-4 on the road. If you bet them every game, you're looking at about plus 3 units. But again, when Milwaukee's in that road arena, they're probably not going to be a favorite, so a very live dog. They're also the Chicago White Sox. Jeff talks about them a lot. I mean, another cruising win last night as well. 6-5 at home, 8-6 on the road. But a lot of those times, they're very moderately priced as a favorite or getting a decent chunk of change on the road. Last night, they had one of those reverse line movements, which I believe, Drew, went from -130 all the way almost to a -130 favorite, closed at about -115, but a nice win for them. 2 teams I'm looking to fade, probably the same as everybody else. The Kansas City Royals just can't get it done. If you bet 1 unit on every single game they had, you're almost down 10 units for the season. And the Texas Rangers, Cole Hamel goes down last night, so another pitcher that's going to be out of the mix for them. They're just going to hang their hat on Yu Darvish, but for the season itself, very disappointing for them.
Yeah, and Donnie, I thought you brought up some good points. The Tampa Bay at home thing, I've read a couple articles where the lighting there in Tropicana Field is a little different than any other, I guess you could say, stadium or
yeah,
dome.
because they still have that effect. Back, if you remember, I don't know if everybody out there remembers the Houston Astrodome. They had to paint the ceiling tiles. It was, given reflections. It's the same way down in Tampa. The ball is white. You hit it up in the air. The ceiling is white. If you're not used to that environment, one game I bet on earlier this year was Tampa Bay and Detroit. And I can't remember the right fielder's name, but boy, was he having a problem at there. Made 2 errors in that game, which led to 2 or 3 runs. If you're not used to that environment, you're right about that, Drew. Good point.
Yeah, and Donnie, what about the Rockies Padres game last night? Because I was actually on the other side. I've started off May 0 so far, but you faded Chatwood and you were on Cahill.
Yeah, because when it looks too easy, a lot of the times, especially Major League Baseball, it really is. It's not like football where you have a 14.5 or a 21.5 point spread where you're looking to cover a spread. You're just looking to win the game. Cahill was fantastic in his first pitching matchup at home. The one interesting thing I like about that is if you just line up the lineups, look at the Rockies lineup compared to the Padres, and you say, how are they going to hit in this matchup? But also what you want to do is take a look to see where the public was at, where the money was at, and you just scratch your head. The late steam, which we put the play in, or I put the play in, about 5 o'clock, it was -102. The Padres ended up closing at almost -110 in that situation. Looking at the overall matchup there with a pitcher that's going to keep you in the ball game in Cahill and just leave it up almost like a coin flip game, there's value on the home teams in the situation. The Padres have now won 3 in a row, 2 in a row lost there for the Rockies. It's just one of those games, Drew, that just stuck out like a sore thumb, the same way the Chicago White Sox did, but it's too chicken to take that play. But it worked out pretty well for the Padres last night.
Yeah, man, great breakdown. Obviously, you know your stuff, Donnie. Ian, what about you? Anything surprising you? Bet on, fade teams?
Yeah, 1 bet on, 1 bet against. The White Sox bet on right now. I've been impressed with what I've seen from them. This rotation for the White Sox, I think long term, still a little bit questionable once you get past Quintana and Derek Hall. Derek Holland's been very solid so far this season for the White Sox, and I know that's been a pleasant surprise for them getting him from the Texas Rangers. Even Miguel Gonzalez has been decent so far to this point. Their bullpen, to me, is why this White Sox team is undervalued. Right now, the Chicago White Sox, #1 in Major League Baseball in terms of bullpen ERA at 1.88. This has been a fantastic bullpen so far this season. And again, when you're betting baseball, you're looking for the underrated factors, the undervalued factors. The starting pitching matchup is always the factor in the betting line with all of these games. You're looking for good lineups. You're looking for good bullpens on a daily basis. You're getting that right now from the Chicago White Sox. They're hitting the ball at a solid clip. This new guy that they've got in their lineup has been hitting very, very well as of late. You look at Yolmer Carlos Sanchez. He's hit well. Melky Cabrera's been hitting well. Jose Abreu. Todd Frazier slumped early. He's starting to come around a little bit. Avisail Garcia, been absolutely on a tear. 382 batting average for him. So again, they've got some good bats in this lineup that are producing right now for the White Sox. The starting pitching's been steady, and the bullpen's been flat out lights out so far. So I still see at least some residual value moving forward on the White Sox. And look at where they are in profitability right now in Major League Baseball. They're #1 in Major League Baseball. They've made over 7 units of profit for their backers so far this season. So White Sox a team to keep an eye on, maybe to keep cashing in with in the future. I'm looking to fade the Texas Rangers, continuing to fade them. I do not like what I see. The lineup has been hit or miss. The starting pitching rotation is a disaster. Cole Hamill scratched from his start yesterday, and his stuff has really looked diminished, has really declined so far this season. I don't trust anyone else in that rotation. Martin Perez is erratic. It's just, you go on down the list. Martin Perez, awful. Martinez, you don't trust him.
Cashner.
Further than I can throw him. Cashner, I mean, is a reclamation project that I'm not convinced at all is going to work at all well for the Texas Rangers. And the bullpen's a complete gas can. I mean, who in that bullpen do you trust right now to get outs if you're trying to back this Texas Rangers team? It's just a complete disaster right now for this team. I think they're going to continue to struggle. And I think based on the way they've played in recent seasons, been one of the better teams in the American League. You're still going to get decent prices, decent value to go against them. So White Sox bet on, Texas bet against for me moving forward.
Good.
I like go ahead, big man.
No, I just wanted to point out with the White Sox, they have the best team ERA in baseball. I mean, this team is legitimate. I mean, on the back end, you mentioned some of their starters. I mean, Miguel Gonzalez has been pretty decent as well. And look, I mean, against lefties, they have one of the best splits in baseball. Against lefties, they're hitting .292. Look, against right-handed pitching, they've struggled, but I think all year they're going to continue to be low priced as far as, when they're favorites, it's not going to be very much. They don't have the Chris Sale pitcher anymore, so they're not going to be priced ridiculously. And their whip as a team, pitching-wise, is fantastic. They don't even have base runners a lot of the time. They're just a team that, and that's kind of what I wanted to point out. I've mentioned Mike Pelfrey and how much I don't like him. But the one thing you do have to point out with him, if they're facing a lefty and he is pitching, if he could just give you 5 innings like Covey, that bullpen's going to be able to come in and maybe rescue a lot of the time. That's not something most teams can fall back on, especially a bad team like the White Sox. They have a good bullpen, something that you look at last night with Seattle. And Donnie, I mentioned this on the show yesterday. When James Paxton pitches, that's all fine and dandy. First at 5 is definitely a must play. You cannot bet full game on James Paxton. That bullpen is that bad. And you saw it last night, evident late in that game. Being with the White Sox, they have a good bullpen. I'm not as concerned about Pelfrey, but I'm not going to bet on him. If they're facing a righty like tonight, it's just a no bet for me. But against lefties, they're a team that I have to continue to bet on.
Yeah, David Robertson's been a little shaky at times from the closer's role, but other than that, Nate Jones, Zach Putnam, Dan Jennings, Jake Petrichka, Swarzak, they've got some arms in that bullpen, and these arms in that White Sox pen, they've been getting outs.
And they've been able to keep them, too.
It's a shame that, they got rid of Chris Sale, but one interesting thing to look at, too, is if you're looking for a hitting boost in 2 weeks, Moncada's going to come up for the White Sox. That's going to add a little bit more power and diversity to that lineup. So never know. Maybe they catch a little lightning in the bottle, as Jeff pointed out there. One of the best bullpens in baseball. It'd be nice to see that continue throughout the summer. But again, also to Ian's point, they're moderately priced, which is always nice to get after.
One of my good friends in the handicapping business, and Drew knows about him too, Alex B. Smith, he's a diehard Chicago White Sox fan, so he is extremely happy that he's finally got a little something to be happy about with this team right now.
Yeah. And you guys are all over it. I was going to bring up a stat. The only bullpen in MLB with under a 1 whip, big man, you were just hitting on that, is the Chicago White Sox. So if you find those things and you can run with them, and obviously you guys were all over it. But hey, moving on to starting pitchers, is there anybody we're looking to bet on or fade just from the starting pitcher ranks?
Yeah, I have a fade and a back. And look, the guy I'm backing is, if you've listened to me over the last several years, I'm not a particular fan of this guy because I'm a Yankee fan, but I really can't get away from the fact of how good Michael Pineda's been. As far as from a backability standpoint, you look at the fact that he's been fantastic. His whip has been low. He struck out 37 batters in 28 2/3 innings. He's only given up 10 earned runs. The thing I love about Pineda, not only does he have a good bullpen to fall back on, but that lineup's been fantastic. They're giving him 8.2 runs of support per game. You're going to have to pay a premium probably at home to bet on him. But again, Michael Pineda is a guy that with that bullpen, you almost feel comfortable. I've mentioned with that lineup, you feel comfortable laying 1.5 runs like last night. They've been a team that's been a public darling, but they've been cashing. Either way, either or, they have a good bullpen. They've been putting up a ton of runs, and they're finally getting good stuff from Michael Pineda. He's been very hit or miss. He's been a mess with 2 outs at times last year. He's been a mess in the first inning. But right now, knock on wood, which I will, he's been very good, and we need him as a Yankees fan and backer to go with Tanaka. The pitcher I'll fade, I'm sure this guy will be mentioned. It's time to move on, take him back to the bullpen. Trevor Bauer's been a mess. This guy's been terrible. You look at it in his outings, 27 innings. He's given up 12 walks, 6 home runs. His whip is high. He's got a lot of traffic on the base pass throughout the game. He can't go to the minors. He's kind of out of those trips. So he's got to almost move to the bullpen or nothing. And you look at Mike Clevenger down in the minors. Mike Clevenger has been very good so far. 1.5 ERA in the minors. It might be looking time to move him up. Trevor Bauer's been a reclamation project that is not reclamated. He continues to walk people, and it's only gotten worse for him over this time in the major leagues. It's time to move Trevor Bauer to another role. He is not a starter anymore.
I don't disagree with anything you said, big man. What about you guys, Donnie or Ian? Anybody else backing or fading?
Yeah, I have a couple that I'd like to take a look at. A couple that are interesting backers and also some faders. They're mostly predicated on what I perceive as getting some value, shorter lines. It's easy to say, I'm going to back Clayton Kershaw. He's going to go 23-7 or whatever he's going to go on the season. But if you want to look at some value out there, Dylan Bundy for the Baltimore Orioles has done very well so far. 5-1 he is over 6 starts that he has with the Baltimore Orioles this year. Again, finally starting to get a little bit of attention, but still getting moderately priced. A lot of these games, since he's matching up with good teams on the other side, like the Yankees or anybody in the AL East, you're looking at these totals where maybe Drew 135, 130-ish, getting a steal from him right now. Also, one of Jeff's pitchers, which he was high on early in the season, is Irving Santana. 6 starts, the Twins are 5-1. He's finally getting looked at, starting to bump it up. And I know Jeff said yesterday, I'll pay up to 150 for Santana or go up to whatever my limit on taking a favorite would be. And he's been dead on there. I mean, a fantastic start. I believe his ERA now under 0.7. And also I'm going to go with Andrew Triggs of Oakland. Jeff targets it right now. Most people are down on the Oakland Athletics, but in the 5 starts that he's had with Oakland, Oakland is 4-1. And again, very moderately priced is what you want to look for to save on. Pitchers I'm looking to fade, Jared Weaver, just to say the least. 0-5 the team is in his 5 starts. He doesn't offer much. If he gets in a jam, he's not a strikeout pitcher. One of the ultimate things that you have to watch out for is if a pitcher gets himself in a jam, you need somebody to get out of it. An 82-mile-an-hour fastball with not much movement's not going to help you there. And also, the Mets overall. Just take a look at Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight, coming out winning 20 games or whatever is what you think he would do. Certainly backtracking 2-4 in his starts overall this year. And again, he's a name, so a lot of the times he's going to get backed as a favorite in these situations. Certainly not looked upon for that from me so far this year.
I like that Mets one, Donnie. And what do you think about how they're bringing up their pitchers? Like, obviously, with Steven Matz, Matt Harvey, now Noah Syndergaard, they've had arm issues, throwing issues. Yeah. You think it's a system thing in the Mets organization?
It's interesting you bring that up because you thought they were going to be the wave of the future. Young power arms, that are going to carry you through these, arbitration years where you're getting, 15 to 20 wins out of $500,000 players. But now you're seeing Syndergaard going down. And everybody joked out there, said, he throws 100 and is changed at like 91, maybe a biting slider. That wear and tear is taking control. It's almost as if now, if you're looking, because with the way the spike in overall salaries in Major League Baseball, are you going to pay this staff, $200 million a pop, which is what they would get on the open market, knowing that they could go at any time? So other than like a Chris Sale, who seems super durable, has that whip motion and just dominant out there, some of these young pitchers that get that wear and tear at 21, 22, 23, 24, something with that Mets, the way they're bringing them up or the way they're lifting, and I don't know, but you're right about that. Something's going on in New York.
Yeah, it's something to watch out for, and to blindly jump on these guys and watch their velocity as well and look to fade them. But Ian, anything you're looking at?
Yeah, bet on 2 of them. Jamison Tyle, Pittsburgh. I think he can actually have a higher ceiling than Garrett Cole in the Pittsburgh Pirates rotation. He's a guy I'd be looking to back moving forward. A very solid start to the season for him. Jeff and Donnie already touched on him already. We've talked about him. Irvin Santana. What a fantastic start to the season for him. 0.66 ERA. for Irvin Santana through his first 5 starts. He's just been absolutely sensational. And a bet against pitcher for me, and you might get a little bang for your buck with this guy going against him. Jake Arrieta of the Chicago Cubs. I've not liked what I've seen. He doesn't have that zip on his pitches. He's been getting crushed in a few of the starts that he's pitched so far. And he's a guy that I'm a little bit worried that the amount of innings that he's had to throw now in 2 straight seasons with the Chicago Cubs has worn him down a little bit physically. That arm strength, is it as good as it was last year? Is it as good as it was 2 years ago? I'm not exactly convinced with Jake Arrieta. He's been looking like a very, very hittable guy. His pitches are staying over the plate a bit too much. He's catching too much of the middle of the plate, and it's been really a problem for him early on here in the season. His numbers not that great, and Arrieta and the Cubs as a team still commanding big prices in the betting markets to support them. You could find a boatload of value fading Jake Arrieta moving forward, and if you've been doing so already, you've already found that value.
Yeah, that you're bringing that up. Big man, go ahead.
I'm not crazy about that team in general. I mean, obviously they won last year. We all know it. But, I mean, you look at this group. I mean, why on earth is Kyle Schwarber still hitting leadoff? I mean, look, Joe Maddon's an interesting cat, eccentric dude. But, I mean, come on, Joe. I mean, he shouldn't be hitting leadoff. He's not good enough. He strikes out a lot. You look at his numbers. He's only hitting 196. You look at kind of him coming off that injury. Look, they won without him. Maybe he's better off. Maybe they're better off continuing to win without him. He has not played particularly well at all. And you mentioned, Ian, very good point. Jake Arrieta does not look like the typical, Jake Arrieta that we've seen, and he's kind of looking more like the Baltimore Jake Arrieta, the one that wasn't particularly good. He had a resurgence coming to the Cubs, but we've talked about it, me and Donnie, John Lester and John Lackey. I mean, clearly towards the end of their careers, still going to give you decent outings, but they're not wowing you by any means. Are you going to get the same performance? Hell no, out of Kyle Hendricks. That's not going to ever happen again. And Brett Anderson's a 5th starter. This rotation suddenly not particularly impressive. Their bullpen had issues. Koji Uehara, you see a lot of the time they're coming back in games. That's because their pitching hasn't been good, and they've needed a lot of luck to win certain games this year. The luster for me on the Cubs isn't there anymore, and I'm going to look to fade them in spots this year.
Yeah, and I'll say about John Lester, he was one big monster hit away from getting crushed last night by the Philadelphia Phillies. He was walking a tightrope that entire game. The Phillies just did not get that big clutch hit to really knock him around, but he was just dancing around trouble all night long, and Jeff's absolutely right. I've got those same concerns about this Cubs rotation, especially when you're going to have to lay minus 170, minus 180, minus 190 with them on a regular basis. And Joe Maddon, we all like. He's done a great job in his managerial career, but come on, Joe, less zoo animals in the clubhouse, more managing, more lineup tweaks, more smarter focusing on those things that matter. We don't need the monkeys in the clubhouse all the time, which is something he's done in the past to try to keep everybody loose. I know he's a bit of a wild person sometimes, Joe. He's a little eccentric, as Big Man said, but come on, let's get away from that. Let's focus on the club itself.
I know a girl, Drew and Ian and Donnie, that I know a girl. She's a young, she's 26, I think. She loves Joe Maddon. She thinks he's the sexiest guy. And I say to her all the time, I'm like, I'm not sure what you see in this guy. Like, what are you into? Older. I don't get it. But I guess he is
the glasses. It might be the glasses.
Yeah, he's like an interesting character. He's kind of quirky in a way. Yeah, he needs to focus a little bit more on that top leadoff hitter as opposed to, like Ian said, bringing in monkeys to fly around with and dress up in pajamas every day and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that you guys are bringing up this game because, if you look at the SBR odds screen right now, they open minus 200. It was actually even higher than that at Bet Online. And obviously the money's going against them, so the market's agreeing with pretty much what we're saying. Do you guys think tonight is a night to fade Arrieta and the Chicago Cubs?
I'm not saying it's a night to fade him. I don't know that it's ever a smart proposition going into the night saying, I'm going to do whatever I can to fade the Cubs. But look, the Phillies are playing pretty well. I know Donnie had mentioned that, on our show. They're 500 basically. And Jared Eichhoff, for what it's worth, has been pretty decent. Yeah. The problem I have with Eichhoff is he doesn't get very much run support. He's 1-4 in his 5 starts. He's been pretty decent. The problem you have with the Phillies is if you're not getting they're not jumping on you early, you're probably not going to win a game because their bullpen is bad. They don't have a closer. They have no idea where they're going there. Tonight, it sucks that Eichhoff, he's kind of like Cole Hamels. He just doesn't get much run support seemingly. But it won't be on my card. But to lay 190 with the Cubs right now is kind of, I don't know why you would ever do that, but it's not particularly something I would do here.
Yeah, a month into the season, like usually you like to cap each and every team and get a good feel. I'm going to be honest here. I haven't capped one Cubs game because I don't see any value in taking the Cubs. I don't like to take run line -1.5. And every single night they're lining up. I mean, it's almost like a blink. Jeff, you're a Yankees fan. Maybe you're a little bit too young, but in the early 2000s, when the Yankees were rolling, the Yankee tax was real, 30 to 40 cents every night because they're rolling teams with a superstar lineup and just that whole public perception. Like opening up Jake Arrieta, very good pitcher. I'm not paying 190. I don't care if he's going against a tomato can somewhere. It's just there's no value in that for me.
Right. Yeah, you're going to look to lay the 1.5 but if you don't lay the 1.5, it's not. There's very few teams nowadays, and Drew, I'll point this out quickly. There's very few teams anymore that you can feel comfortable with laying 1.5 runs just because of the inability for these bullpens to close games down. I mean, again, do you really feel comfortable laying 1.5 though with Seattle? I mean, their bullpen sucks. They at times are lost at the plate. There are very few teams. The Yankees are one right now. The Dodgers at home, just because they do have good pitching. Their bullpen's solid. But there are a few teams, Ian and Drew, that I'm looking to lay 1.5 with anymore, and it's just not there for me.
I agree with you. I always hesitate, pump the brakes on laying 1.5, especially with a home team. Just take big picture in mind. You only have 8 at bats versus 9 at bats. I know people will say a lot of that's worked into the line, but still, I don't think it is fully, and I stay away from that. I agree with what you guys.
And 6 home runs allowed by Jake Arrieta, by the way, in his last 4 starts. The way I look at this game is I want to go against Arrieta right now in some fashion. I think the way I would look to it is, small sized bets for me personally are going to be Philly 5-inning line. I don't want anything to do with this bullpen because look at this Phillies bullpen. Jeanmar Gomez, fail. Hector Neris, fail. Can you find a closer, please, that can get 3 outs? Anybody? Find someone off the street if you have to. Yeah.
They need to get Brad Lidge out of retirement, maybe.
Oh, geez, that's the answer. Yeah.
Guys,
Billy Wagner's going to make a comeback for the Phillies. Yep, you got it.
I missed that guy. That guy was awesome.
And Philly over also makes a little sense to me. I would go either Phillies team total over or Phillies first 5 innings. I would not look to the full game money line.
And then the Phillies tried that nut job Benoit. That hasn't worked either. I mean, they're just lost at the closer position ever since they got rid of Ken Giles or Diekman. I mean, they've had all sorts of problems, and that goes back to the big point of view that I've made. This organization, it's not any good. They're never going to win with this group that they have. Donnie, have they had issues in the bullpen since Diekman's left? I mean, since Giles left? I mean, they haven't gotten it right.
Yeah, no, it's a poorly run franchise up top, but now there's a little bit of shining light there because the AAA team, the first 6 hitters on that team could replace the Phillies' first 6 hitters outside of maybe Odubel and Franco. They're ready to come up. It's just a matter that, again, we're going to hold off because we don't want to pay salaries just yet, and we're going to operate like we're the 97th biggest city in the country. That's just what the Phillies do.
Speaking of that Gong Show Phillies bullpen, we have to bring that Phillies-Dodgers game up from the weekend. That was absolutely insane.
Yes.
Could you imagine if you had the Phillies in that game? Just an absolute, your heart's ripped out of your throat.
Or probably even the under in that one, I would assume, right? Was it like 5-2, I think, at one point?
Yeah.
So if you're sitting on the under, you just got crushed on that too.
Yeah. It was brutal loss. Brutal.
Well, guys, we got to, we will hit on the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, some soccer from Big Man. And we keep in mind we have best bets coming at the end, but do want to hit on the live chat here. Kevin's saying the Nationals and Nationals over. I know the Nationals have been killing it. I've been on the other side, lost a couple games there when they took it to Colorado in Denver. But getting to today's card, anything else we like off of today's card that's worth pointing out, keeping in mind you want to keep your best bets for the end?
Yeah, I'll throw one out. I mean, I have, I'm like I've said before, I'll talk about any game. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to look at Colorado today. I mean, they're a team that for me, obviously last night they did lose to the San Diego Padres, but I think you're getting a pretty nice price here with them against Jared Weaver. Antonio Senzatella has been very good. I know Ian's talked about him. And look, I mean, for me, it's very much about fading Jared Weaver. We had Peter Loshek on our show last night, and he brought that up. I mean, Jared Weaver is kind of kind of near the list of gas cans right now. I mean, he's a guy that has no velocity on his pitches. He just stinks. And I don't know. I want to fade him, especially with that lineup. San Diego, a mess. 217 at home. Look, I've continued to say over the course of the year, if you fade the Padres, you'll make a lot of money. At this price, I think it's worth a look. Anytime you can get Jared Weaver, fading Jared Weaver at this price, I'm going to have to look at that.
Okay, I like that, big man. And one thing I do want to bring up with Sensatella that I've noticed is, he's primarily a two-pitch pitcher, a fastball slider guy. And so I was going in with the approach on Sensatella to bet on him the first time he faces a lineup, but maybe even look to fade him the second time he faces a lineup. Do you see any value in that?
Say the question one more time. You cut out on my headphone here.
So Sensatella is primarily a two-pitch pitcher. He, right. Kind of the reliever type as far as like a fastball
right.
and a hard slider. Would you find any value in betting on him the first time he faces a lineup, but then maybe looking to fade him the second time he faces a lineup?
I mean, maybe against better teams.
Great point.
Lineups. Okay. I mean, the problem with San Diego is they literally have one or two players that you're concerned with. They probably have the worst lineup in the National League by far. Will Myers is about the only guy that I'm overly concerned with. And last night there was a clear, at least San Diego had Cahill, who is a ground ball pitcher. He's going to be able to give you some innings. But is anyone confident that Jared Weaver can give you any sort of inning? It's not something I'm looking to do.
And also what you're looking at too, big man, to counter off that point, if you're looking from a Colorado's perspective, their bats are going to break out soon. What a perfect night tonight to get back on the horse and really smash somebody. So if you're looking, one of those type of plays, which I like to throw out a team total here and there, you might want to look at Colorado. Even if it's only the first 5 team total, I can easily see them scoring 3 runs off Weaver. I mean, again, using the same premise that me and Jeff like to use, one swing of the bat, a 2-run home run. Blackman leads off with a double 1 inning, and here they go. Because, again, if Jared Weaver can't work himself out of damage, you're going to give up runs. So maybe it's a bit of a square play there, but a square play I think might have a little bit of validity here.
Great point, Donnie. And Ian, do you have anything you're looking at on today's card?
Yeah, you know what? I think Gio Gonzalez is due for a little regression. His surface numbers look fantastic so far this season, but his xFIP's over 4. It doesn't correlate right now with his ERA whatsoever. And I'm a Robbie Ray fan. I've liked to look to back this guy. I've looked to back Arizona quite a bit as a team. This didn't make my client card, this play, but I thought there was a little value at the underdog price with Arizona. They took the first game of that series last night against the Washington Nationals. Again, Arizona keeps playing very solid baseball. They've bounced back from 2 losses against Colorado to win their last 2 games. And I like what I've seen from Robbie Ray. He's got to rein in the walks, but I think he's done at least a little bit better of a job the last 2. I mean, he was walking 4 or 5 guys a game. He's brought that down now a bit to 2-3. It's starting to get a little bit better. I'd still like to see it continue to improve, rein in that control, rein in that command. But I think this long-term guy is still a pretty good bet on pitcher for me. And we'll see how he fares here. And his road numbers, 2 road starts for him. Arizona 2-0, only giving up 1 earned run in 12.2 road innings this season. Robbie Ray. It does concern me. Nationals do well against lefties, but small value play, I think, on Arizona. And I think Gio is a guy that might get hit a little bit moving forward.
Okay. No, I like that. And as we finish up here on baseball, keeping in mind we have best bets, wanted to throw out to the listeners, we do have the SBR contest going on, and it's where you can win, I believe they give out about $2,000 in prizes every month. You can get iPads, cash, Amazon, stuff like that when you win these contests. And I believe you have to put out 90 plays in the month. So as it's the beginning of May, it's a great thing to get involved in. Make sure to click on SBR contests. It's at the top of the SBR homepage. So make sure to check that out. I'm in the contest. I know Matty Ice is in it. Big man, Donnie, Ian, not sure if you guys are in it.
90 plays a month. I think I'm disqualified. Jeff will back me up on that.
Donnie has about 9 plays a month.
Hey, selective. Nothing wrong with that. But well, Donnie, did you want to throw anything more out about today's MLB card before we get to
there's a couple games I'm actually looking at there. Toronto, I haven't made up a decision yet. Obviously, waiting on some lineups to come out and some more statistics. Some interesting ones. Stroman's getting a lot of support here in the Bronx versus the New York Yankees. Only 47% of the tickets coming in backing Toronto, but 60% of the money. I will give you a hint on the game that I have circled right now, along with one other game. A little bit later in the day, Carnes coming out versus Pelfrey. I know Jeff's railed on Pelfrey before. Interesting that Carnes is going to open up at a -45 with the way that Kansas City has struggled. Keep an eye on that game tonight. They got blown out last night, 6-0. They're going to get two other starters back in the lineup, one would think, who rested last night. So a little bit better lineup. Pelfrey, always a nice tonic to get your hitting mojo back against. But the one game that actually has my attention a lot is tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, rotation 977, 978. Nolasco Iwakuma, 29% of the tickets backing LA right now, 41% of the money, so a nice split there. Line opened up at -120 as a favorite to Seattle, has backpedaled a little bit there on SBRodds.com to -112 with 5 dimes. So take a look at some lineups in there. We got a little bit of that false flag activity that we really like to take a look at.
Yeah, I like that breakdown, Donnie. And what I read a article on SBR Picks from Mark Lathrop, great writer. Iwakuma would be specifically hurt by the by MLB raising the strike zone, and I think that has a lot to do with this line. The people, the market realizing that and fading Iwakuma.
Yeah, back with King Felix and Iwakuma is that nice 1-2 punch in Seattle. I mean, he used to get a nice number and was a dominant pitcher, but he still has that name, which again, for the betting public, when you see Ricky Nolasco, been there, done that, not a very good pitcher, journeyman basically at this point, versus Iwakuma at home. I like to take Seattle in this situation. I can see their point of view, but 71% are already lined up on that side with that line movement. A little bit shaky from right now. Let's take a look as the day goes on here.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well,
Iwakuma.
Yes, feel free. Jump in with that whenever you want, man.
But a little heart from the 70s, yeah.
Okay. Well, what about the NBA playoffs? Where are we at in that? Big Man or Donnie? You guys got any recommendations for the listeners?
Yeah. I'll keep one of the plays to the end where we do best bets. But, the first game with Toronto and the Cavs, look, I've said I have a future on Toronto to win the East. Obviously, the first game was kind of a tough start. Look, I mean, Toronto's going to need to find a way to play some defense. Obviously, Cleveland, very good offensively. We all know that. But look, I wasn't totally disgusted with the performance. They had a good fourth quarter, which, again, I mean, Cleveland was up in the game. But look, I think this obviously will be more competitive tonight. They did only end up losing by 11 points, which, if you watch the game, it probably should have been by a lot more. At the end of the day, you're getting 7.5 tonight. I think they bounce back here with a good performance. They really need to try to split this, go back to Toronto 1-1. If they can somehow find a way to go back to Toronto 1-1, I mean, that would clearly be huge for them. I'm not sure they can win the game. I'm thinking, though, they can stay and make it a little bit more competitive here and stay within the 7.5 tonight. I like Cleveland, but defensively, we know they do have issues. I think it'll shine through a little bit more tonight. And I'm thinking they're going to get a better performance out of Damari Carroll. Look, Jonas Valanciunas, I'm not really sure why they went back to that lineup. The Norman Powell stuff was working. But again, him not being in there, it hurts. So that's something to look forward to, or maybe not look forward to if you're a Raptor fan. But I hope they can get this 1-1. But I think they can keep it competitive tonight. Try to get this 1-1.
Okay. Well, hey, before we get into the NHL playoffs with Ian, what about throwing out there the NFL draft? Any prop bets you guys want to talk about? Anything that you saw for maybe to take into game 1, game 2 betting in the NFL? Or any Kentucky Derby, any Kentucky Derby bets you guys are looking at?
I'm not I like NHL. I'm not someone that I'll mess around with the Kentucky Derby. Just try to act like I can cap horse racing, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. I'll look to some of the people that I know that do horse racing and follow their tips. I spent a lot of time on the NFL draft as far as mocks and things like that. I think there are plenty of teams that help themselves out. I think there are plenty of teams that I got to wonder where they were going and where their head was at. To me, quickly, it looks like the Chicago Bears are trying to lose football games. I don't think they're going to be a team that can win 5 games this year. We'll see. But Drew, to be honest, I would probably waste an hour talking your ear off about it. So I'll let the rest of the presenters have their go at the NFL draft.
Nothing wrong with that. Stick to what you know, whether it's
I'll say quickly about the NFL draft. I've got initial gut reaction leans with the season win totals, but I really don't bet any of these after the draft. I mean, I want to see training camp unfold. I want to see a preseason game or two unfold. I want to see how things start to unfold in August, July and August. Then I'll get involved with season win total bets more aggressively. That's usually my mindset with that. But definitely there's some initial gut leans that I have with some of these, there's no question, but usually I wait till later in the summer to get involved with serious wagering action on the NFL draft. I don't know if any of our viewers bet golf, but we don't talk much golf here on the sports betting roundtable, but I've got a couple good golf sources. They've done quite well. They're telling me that this Wells Fargo Championship coming up this weekend starts on Thursday, that look out for Webb Simpson. He's 34-1, 34-1 in that range. He's had a great track record at Wells Fargo at this golf course, done very, very well. He's been in better form recently. Webb Simpson you might want to take a little flyer on him to win that tournament, or at least finish top 5, top 10, something, a bet of that kind. But apparently a lot of people like Webb Simpson in that golf event this weekend.
Okay, good stuff, Ian. And the odds couple fan chiming in about the Kentucky Derby, and it's literally the worst thing to bet. I do know that the VIG, what the house takes, is a lot higher in horse betting. So you got to win at a higher clip. So just keep that in mind. But like Big Man said, it is fun to bet the Kentucky Derby. But Ian, on the ice, anything that the listeners need to be looking out for? Any bet recommendations for them?
Oh, we got 2 great games tonight. 2-1 series lead for the Pittsburgh Penguins over the Washington Capitals. They'll be playing their first game tonight without Sidney Crosby, out with that concussion from that incident that took place in Game 3. We could see some bad blood really develop tonight. This is a great game to watch. I think even the casual hockey fan, or the person that tunes in for the postseason, basically doesn't watch any regular season, they'll be looking to find this game on NBC Sports Network tonight, because I think it's going to be one of those games that's going to have some bad blood. It's a huge pivotal game in the series. It's either going to be 3-1 Pittsburgh or 2-2 going back to Washington for Game 5. Should be a great game. I noticed something about Evgeny Malkin. He's the guy that's going to be looked upon to step up offensively for the Penguins without Crosby. He's done very well. 117 career games that Malkin has played without Crosby on the ice, and he's done really well. He's got 66 goals, 88 assists in those 117 games. He has done a very good job in the past stepping up his game when Sidney Crosby is injured. I think we might see that tonight from him, Phil Kessel, Nick Bonino, Carl Hagelin, Patrick Hornquist. It's not like Pittsburgh is devoid of people to put the puck in the net, even without Crosby. He's going to hurt on the power play not having him. His vision, his playmaking, his passing, going to miss that. No question about it. But there's enough scoring depth with Pittsburgh in terms of their forwards. Their blue line is more than capable of chipping in offensively. I don't think this team is going to fall off a cliff in terms of their ability to score goals and their ability to find the back of the net because of the fact that Sidney Crosby's out. I still think it's a team that's going to be able to be solid enough offensively. And I'm fascinated to see how Washington plays tonight in this game. This is a Washington team that could not solve Marc-Andre Fleury, the Penguin goalie, for pretty much the whole series until the other night when they got that overtime win in Game 3. Does that win maybe relax Washington a bit? Or, a lot of the pressure's off them now. A lot of the burden is off them now. They finally got a win in this series. Do they play with more confidence and more poise with the puck? We're going to find out tonight. And maybe does the confidence get dented a little bit for Marc-Andre Fleury after finally losing one here in this series? So very interested to see if Washington can carry over that momentum from Game 2, or from Game 3 rather, here into Game 4. Tough to call from a side perspective. I mean, I don't want to lay anything with Washington on the road. I think the value is with Pittsburgh, believe it or not, even without Crosby as a home underdog now in this game. I'm surprised Washington's taken this much money, but when Washington's been in such a struggle to win in the playoffs, let alone in this series, that I'm just not comfortable now laying, close to minus 130 now with the Washington Capitals here on the road. Not something I'm looking to do. Anaheim-Edmonton should be a great game. 2-1 series lead for the Oilers. The predictable loss, I guess you could say, at Game 3 at home with Anaheim down 2-0. They needed the win desperately. They played like it. They were the better team over Edmonton in that game. Edmonton made some terrible miscues, turnovers with the puck in their own zone. I'd expect Edmonton to be better tonight. I still think Edmonton is going to advance in this series. I know Anaheim had a great win. Does that momentum from Game 3 carry over for them here tonight? But I think this Oilers team, this young Oilers team, has already shown you plenty of poise plenty of ability to bounce back and respond from adversity and respond from a bad performance. They did it against San Jose. I think they can do it tonight. I don't love the price with the Oilers, but if they bounce back and win Game 4 tonight and take a 3-1 lead in this series, it wouldn't shock me. So I'll give a small lean to the Oilers and the over as well, 5.5 in that game.
Boom. Ian Cameron, thanks for your opinion, man. He definitely knows his hockey and his CFL, which is only a month away. And I believe what you and Andrew McGinnis are going to continue your show through the CFL season as well.
That's the plan. I think the way it's going to work is we're doing the hockey show every Monday for the rest of the playoffs. That'll go into about mid-June. Okay. Because that's when the Stanley Cup finals are going to be. And then basically right after that, the CFL season will be ready to go. So I think this is just going to keep on going. It's going to flow right from hockey into CFL football at the end of June. Lots of great storylines, I mean, in the CFL. I can't wait. Vince Young, how's he doing in Saskatchewan? How does Zach Collaros, the former Cincinnati Bearcat quarterback, bounce back from multiple injuries for the Hamilton Ticats this season when he's healthy? One of the best quarterbacks in the CFL. Does the Calgary Stampeders bounce back from a tough Grey Cup loss? Can the Ottawa Red Blacks repeat as Grey Cup champions now that Henry Burris is retired and they've got a new starting quarterback now and Trevor Harris, who has been a capable starter in the past in the CFL? Lots of great questions and a lot of intrigue going into the new season.
But Donnie, you want to hit up Ian with a betting question here?
Yes, Ian, got a question for you here. Being a Flyers fan, we like to sit out of the playoffs for some reason the past couple of years now. But interesting developments here in the NHL draft. A lot of shenanigans went on, and somehow the 2% to win the draft Flyers end up with a top 2 pick. Just give me an idea. Are we getting a good player in here? Because I have no idea about the draft or any people coming up or anybody from, the hockey juniors there. Can we get a good pick at number 2 as a Flyers fan?
You're going to get a guy that's going to make an impact. A guy that's going to make an impact, going to be a solid NHL player, a top 6 forward if you draft a forward, a top 4 defenseman, top 2 pairing defenseman if you go that direction. And I think the Flyers should go in that direction, defenseman. I don't think their defense is very good. It hasn't been very good for the last couple of years. I think they need to address the back end before they address their scoring issues. I think they can score enough. I think it's their defending ability or their lack of ability to defend that's really hurt them. And of course, goaltending is always the wild card with this team. Steve Mason and Michael Neuwirth all season long, capable of standing on their head and also capable of letting squeakers through the 5-hole routinely. So what you get in net from them was a problem. It's just not consistent enough. You're not going to get that franchise foundation player in this year's draft. I don't believe that.
No Malkin, no Crosby, no Ovi. You're breaking my heart over here.
That's the only thing that's concerning. I'm not sure we've got that Austin Matthews. I'm not sure we've got that Connor McDavid or Connor McDizzle, as Snoop Dogg called him once. Sidney Crosby, go on down the list. I don't know if there's that guy you can build a franchise around and just, build a roster around that one guy that the Flyers or anyone takes in the first couple picks in this year's first round of the NHL draft. But you're still going to get a good player, a guy that's going to be a very good NHL player for a very long time and make big-time positive contributions to the team. So Flyers at number 2, and they, they could use a high draft pick in the worst way. It was a difficult season for them. They had that one great winning streak midway through the season, incredible winning streak. But other than that, it was a whole lot of mess for the Philadelphia Flyers. So good for them for being able to move up. The lottery was smiling on them for sure last week.
Absolutely. All right, there we go.
Well, good stuff, guys. And we got to start wrapping up. We got a little soccer from Big Man on campus and then best bets. So, Big Man, you got any recommendations on the soccer pitch?
I do. Champions League today. There's 4 teams left. Juventus, Monaco, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. Real Madrid won yesterday, 3-0 hat trick from the best player in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo. But today, we got my favorite team, my squad, Juventus, playing today on the road at Monaco, the first leg. Guys, I've been getting a lot of shit on SBR lately because I made a comment last week that I don't believe Monaco can score against Juventus. Monaco is a team, think of them similar to Citadel in basketball. They run, they're relentless. All they do is push, try to score goals. Juventus is the best defensive team in the world. They've given up 8 goals in 2 calendar months. 8. They haven't given up a Champions League goal in over 9 hours of playing time. Just because Monaco can score against the likes of Toulouse and Dijon and Dortmund and Manchester City. Dortmund and Manchester City are not defensive sides. They're not good defensive sides. Even in the Champions League, they're not good defensively. What Juventus is going to do, they have the best goalkeeper in the world. They're going to put 4 in the back in front of him. They're going to limit Kylian Mbappe coming down the pitch and trying to head goals in Falcao. They're just not going to allow you to score. They held Barcelona scoreless, the best attacking team in the world, with the best players in the world. What makes you think a team in Monaco, who has had an unbelievable year, is going to go in and score against the best defense in the world? It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think they're going to score. I made a bet with another co-host here, 5-1 that they won't score. I'm also on Juventus today at a pick 'em. All they're going to do is win. If they draw, we get our money back. I'm looking for a win here to go back to Turin, our home stadium, and get the job done, go to the final. Monaco is a gimmick. They've never faced a defense like this, and the young players are going to be bashed in the mouth when they try to go across the middle, because not only do we have the best defensemen in the world, but even our reserves are World Cup winners. They're guys that know how to play defense. Monaco's going to get punched in the mouth early and often. Juventus gets the job done today, and they're going to win this tournament.
Wow, sounds like Jeff might think that Juventus to win the clean sheet bet. I think that's what it's called. Might be worth it too.
Wouldn't be tough. Wouldn't be a bad play. The clean sheet. They've kept the clean sheet in plenty of minutes here in the Champions League. They're the class right now. I mean, they're just unbelievable. I can't wait for the game today. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm all over it. So go Juve. Forza Juve.
There you go.
Juve. That's the play, man.
Sounds like Juventus plays like this hockey version of the neutral zone trap or the trap defense.
90s Devils,
and you can't score on them. Yeah,
what
they just suffocate you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to sit back. They have the best defense in the world. They have the best goalkeeper probably ever in Buffon. And what they're going to look to do, guys, is hit you on the counter. They have guys now in Dybala and Mandzukic that can push it. They're going to hit you on the counter like they did against Barcelona, and they're just going to make it impossible to score against.
It is the Devils, yeah.
Big man, do you like the under too?
Yes, I do. I think the under's a very good play. I think this is maybe a 2-0, 1-0 game. I really, again, I mean, I'm going balls to the wall. We have to understand it's very difficult. Monaco has scored in every game at home since like 2014, so it's definitely tough to do. The one point of view that I'll make finally is Monaco's home stadium is nowhere close to the atmosphere that you see throughout Europe. Monaco is a small principality. They're more of a vacation spot. They probably won't even sell out this game today. It's kind of like going to Atlanta Braves games. They might be decent at times, but they're still not going to garner a lot of public support. There's just a lot of things that I think are gimmicky about Monaco. I don't know that they belong on this stage. They're a lot like Leicester City. I think they're in over their head here.
All right, man. Well, thanks for that breakdown. And is that, I guess we'll just start best bets. Is that your best bet as well?
I'm actually going to throw a wrench. That is a very good bet, but I'm going to throw out the Spurs tonight, -5.5. I think this is a really they need to reset after what happened in Game 1. Obviously, we know that was a pathetic showing, and it was really kind of something that the Spurs you don't see happen to them very often. They don't very much often give up 126 points, but you look at the fact that offensively, I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge was lost, David Lee was lost, their guards were lost. They only shot 37%. After that game, I think Popovich laid into them. You could tell he was visibly pissed off. Look, the Rockets, I think, are very good offensively. We all know that. But I just think the Spurs get back to Spurs basketball tonight at home. I think they even this series. I think they win it fairly comfortably. It's not going to be a double-digit win, but I think this is like a 107-97 type of game, 107-90. 9, something like that. I think they'll do enough late in the game. I think their guards will play much better. You can't play much worse than they did in the first game. I think they got to get this series 1-1. If they go down 2-0 tonight, it's going to be difficult because now you got to go back to Houston. I think the Spurs are in a good spot tonight. I think Pop laid into them. I think they'll bounce back tonight, get the job done, and I think they will cover as well.
Okay, so big man, you're on Spurs -5.5.
Correct.
Okay, good stuff, man. And Donnie Rightside, what do you got for best bets?
Yeah, let's have a little bit of fun tonight. Instead of taking since there's not really any lineups now or not enough information to go with for an actual side in the game, I'll just revert back to what I said before. Jared Weaver, if he can make it through 5 innings and give up less than 1 run versus the Colorado Rockies, I'll surrender here in this one. It's a little bit juicy, yes. It's a little bit square, yes. I'll pay the minus 135 and take the over 2 tonight for the Colorado Rockies on the road versus San Diego. I think the bats wake up a little bit, get a couple guys on base. He's not going to get the strikeouts that he needs to get out of that. All it takes is 1 double in the gap to get those 2 runs home. So we're going to go ahead and we'll take the team total over 2 first 5 innings here for the Colorado Rockies.
Okay, good stuff, Donnie. And what book do you find that out?
I have currently up at 5 dimes right now.
5 dimes?
Yes.
All right, buddy. Well, Colorado over 2 first 5 team total for Donnie, best bet. And Ian Cameron, what do you got for best bets?
Yeah, well, this will be basically play of the day. I won't have a play of the day video. This is it for baseball right here. We'll make it the best bet here for the Roundtable show. This is one of my top 3 plays today in baseball. So you're getting what I think is a good one. We're going to look for some runs to be scored at Fenway tonight. Orioles and Red Sox to go up and over the total of 9. Even money, plus 100 in that game. I've not been impressed at all by Kevin Gossman. He had a good opening start, but since then it's been a train wreck for him. 7.5 ERA, 25 runs on 42 hits in 30 innings, almost as many walks, 17, as strikeouts, 20, 6 home runs allowed in those 30 innings. That's a recipe for disaster. Pitching at Fenway Park. He's already faced Boston once this season. April 23rd, got rocked for 5 runs on 8 hits in 5.1 innings. 3 home runs allowed in that one start against this Red Sox team. I think he's going to be in for more trouble tonight. And on the flip side, everybody's talking about Drew Pomeranz. He's been solid for this team, but Drew Pomeranz still to me is a major risk here at Fenway Park. You're not in Petco now anymore, son. Your fly balls are not going to be staying in this deep center field and being caught and end up in gloves when you're pitching at Fenway Park, and it's already been proven. You look at the numbers, Drew Pomeranz outside of Fenway, I think his ERA this season, that's below 3. You get it at Fenway, it's over 5. And all of a sudden, the home run numbers climb significantly for Drew Pomeranz, the lefty here at Fenway Park. Those fly balls, and he gives up a lot of them, they turn into home runs and extra base hits here at Fenway. They did it last year when he struggled down the stretch after that trade to the Red Sox, and it's been more of the same here with Boston so far this season. And I think the Orioles now are facing him. Already, this is already going to be the 3rd time that the Orioles are going to get a look at Drew Pomeranz. So I don't think he's going to be able to fool them. I don't think he's going to be able to trick them or deceive them in any way, shape, or form here in this start. And again, his numbers at Fenway have been very, very mediocre, if not poor to say the least. So I think you get both lineups getting good at bats and good approach against these 2 vulnerable starters tonight. So let's go over 9, Boston, Baltimore. Best bet for the Sports Betting Roundtable. Best line available, I see over 9 plus 100. Bookmaker/Chris.
Nice. I agree with you on that Pomeranz in Fenway. I'm looking to fade that as well. And as far as my best bet, we talked about it earlier. I'm on Philly, and I'll take Ian's recommendation to stay away from their bullpen. I'm on the Philadelphia Phillies first 5. Plus 175 at 5 dimes.
I like it though. That would be my lean. I'll have a small piece of that too, no doubt.
Hey, if I can make
Arrieta, yep.
If I can make one final point, I'm not endorsing Juventus today because I'm a fan, by the way. I've talked about them defensively all year. I'm not going to. I want to point that out. I think some people in the chat box think I'm
Homer. Yeah, that's what they think.
Yeah, I've bet on them all year. I mean, I don't know how you can. What I'm saying is foolish. I'm not sure how they don't give goals up. I'm sorry. They might score, Monaco, but I don't think they're going to. So I'll take a shot with it. But it's not a play homer wise. I think they're the way better team in this spot.
No homer here. Dope.
Fair enough, boys. Hey, well, great show, guys. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, I think that'll wrap it up. I think we got it all.
All right, good stuff. Good insight, and hopefully these best bets cash tonight. We're here, SBR Roundtable for Donnie, Big Man, and Ian Cameron. We're here 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific every Wednesday. So, and thanks for checking us out, and make sure to check out the SBR contest. Just started May 1st, so you're not too far behind, and make sure to check out SBR picks as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks. Enjoy the